Hello, welcome back to The Remedy, brought to you by Coos Health and Wellness. I'm Eric Gleason. Today we are joined by Shauna Shar, who's the Behavioral Health Children's Program Manager over at Coos Health and Wellness. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
We're going to talk about school-based therapists. So I'm under the impression that Coos Health and Wellness has therapist positions in the schools.
Yes. Coos Health and Wellness has a total of 7 school therapists. We have 1 therapist per school district, and then Coos-based school district has 2 school therapists.
Okay.
Our new Myrtle Point Powers therapist, this will be the first time we have a therapist in Myrtle Point School District, and they start this fall. They're going to work 4 days in Myrtle Point and then one day in Powers. The other school districts vary with our coverage, but all school districts are covered for our middle schools and high schools in all of Coos County. We have grades 1 through 12 covered in Coquille, Myrtle Point, Bandon, and Powers with a Coos Health and Wellness school therapist.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
It's nice that our schools have that kind of support structure from Coos Health and Wellness and what that brings to the kids. So what services do school-based mental health therapists provide?
So our therapists provide crisis intervention. So if there's a crisis with the youth in the school, they'll intervene and help with that. That's probably their number one thing they'll do, of course. And then they do individual therapy with some of the youth, and those sessions can vary from 30 to 45 minutes depending on what's going on with that youth. And they also can do family therapy if a family wants to come in and have a session in the school therapist's office. Sometimes they might have an early morning one or a one after school as well. They also may facilitate group therapy after school for students who might want to stay after school and come to a group therapy. For example, North Bend School District has a school therapist that does a expressive arts group that really does some artwork, but really what they're doing is addressing coping strategies for anxiety and depression that students may be experiencing. We've had quite a bit of success with that group. The school therapists see youth at all of the schools, and if needed, the school therapists can open a youth up to Coos Health and Wellness that meet diagnostic criteria and are on advanced health insurance. This can lead to youth even seeing like our child psychiatrist or getting other services, which is pretty awesome.
No, that's great. So all of this, I assume, that is confidential when they go talk to the school-based therapist.
Yes. So when they talk to the school therapist, that's a private session. The only time that does not end up being a private session if the youth is at risk to harm themselves or others, and then they would need to tell a parent and determine the severity of what might be going on crisis-wise.
Right.
Then it doesn't remain confidential. But the rest of the time it does in those sessions.
It has to be very specific.
Unless there's abuse happening.
So if I have a child at North Bend, how would she access services?
So what you would do is you could do it a couple routes. Of you could go through the principal if you wanted to and say, you could go through the front desk and give a call. You also could just get the phone number of the therapist and call them directly about your child and ask to get therapy started and then set up an appointment for that with that therapist.
So and these don't interfere with their classes?
No, not really, because the one great thing with that is that the school therapist really is trying to work with the principal and the vice principal and the teachers to make sure they're working around if there are certain classes that youth shouldn't miss. And so it's usually just a 30-minute session, and then it's only longer if the youth really has some things going on and maybe needs to be in a longer crisis session. Okay. But again, the therapist really works with the administrators at the school to make sure they're not missing math if that shouldn't be the class that they miss.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. I'm glad that the school systems are doing that and the youth have that access. If you think that your youth need to know about this or you want more information about that, you can check with the schools. You can check with Coos Health and Wellness. So for The Remedy, brought to you by Coos Health and Wellness, I'm Eric Gleason. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day.
Bye.